Okay, I'm here at the beginning of row 5 and I'm working with B, colour B, which is the pink. And we haven't got any new stitches to learn on this row because we're working TSS and TDFP again. But what we are doing is we're just changing the positions of those stitches on this particular row. Where we started with TDFP last time, we are going to start with TSS this time. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So you can see very clearly, if I take my hook out, this first stitch here, it's got your little knobbly bit in the middle, which means it was the TDFP from the from the previous row. So what I'm going to do now and onwards, wherever there was a TDFP, I'm going to put a TSS in the top of it. Okay, so we know what a TSS is. It's Tunisian simple stitch, and all that is pulling up a loop. All right. Now, when I look at my next stitch across, I'm just going to borrow my hook again. There is no lumpy bumpy bit there. And so I'm going to put a TDFP in there. So if there's nothing complicated in there, let's make it complicated. So normal TDFP, so hook goes under that first upright and I pull up a loop, and it goes under the upright directly below and I pull up another loop. Then I do a yarn over and go through those two together, and that completes TDFP. And you will see that I've now got the little lumpy bumpy bit in the pink yarn. So I've got some here in the one here in the brick and one next to it in the pink. And so we are sort of building on bricks, aren't we? So where there was a lumpy bumpy, we'll just put an upright. And where there's just an upright, we'll put a lumpy bumpy. Now, lumpy bumpy is not the correct terminology, but you know what I mean. If there wasn't one there before, put one in there. So our repeat this time starts with TSS and then goes TDFP. So it's TSS, TDFP all the way along. Okay, and you can see that what's going to happen, if I just stop there, you can already see what's going to happen is we're going to have rows of the little nodules, the little TDFPs in brick and the pink or yellow alternating all the way across, which gives us this effect. Okay, that's how that is happening. You'll notice this is much more, this fills in much nicer because the yarn is fluffier and thicker than what I'm using here, but it's fine, it's just for demonstration purposes. So I'm going to go all the way across, fill in my my blanks all the way across, and I will see you when we're ready to do our return pass. Okay, I'm doing the last TDFP now. And it brings me on to the very last stitch, and I'm just going to do my normal going under those two and pulling up a loop. Right, so you can see that that has filled in and alternated those stitches really beautifully. So this is the row 5, and it's the second of that 2-row repeat. And the reason we have that 2-row repeat is so that we were kind of reversing the order of the stitches from row 4. So we've got a TDFP in every stitch going across, but they're staggered. I think you know what I mean. You will find as you work across, if you've made any mistakes in the previous row, you'll soon find out, because the flow won't be right. You won't have anywhere to put the correct stitch. It might be that you're ready to do a TDFP and you're sitting across the top of a TDFP. So this is a really good time to sort that out, because those are the foundations of the entire cowl project. And as long as you've got that first row right, everything else is going to work completely fine. So row 5 then, and it is your regular standard return pass. Nothing to write home about at all. We're used to them by now, so I will go all the way back over. I'll see you at the end. Okay, I'm at the end of row 5, and of course I've got a colour change. I've got to change back to colour A, yarn A. Okay, which is brick. Brick is used in every single even numbered row, so 4, 6, 8 and so on. Always brick. Okay, the odd numbers rows are always going to be one of the fluffy ones. Okay, but they're not always going to be the same fluffy one. So when you get to for example, you're going to do another row with pink. You're going to do row 7 with pink. But when, for example, you get to row 9, you have got to then change to colour, what is called colour C. Now, what colour C actually is, it's one strand of each of those together. Okay, so I just wanted to show you this because this is how I will, or how I tackled colour changes with the fluffy yarns all the way through the project. When I got to the end and I knew I'd finished with working with 2 yarns of pink, for example, or 2 yarns of yellow, so it doesn't matter, but in this case 2 yarns of pink, I didn't snip both of the yarns. I snipped, sorry, I haven't got my scissors ready there. I snipped just one of them, just one of the strands. Okay, and I kept the other one long and ready. So when I get ready to change to my next colour, so when it comes up to, when I'm ready to start row 9, so at the end of row 8, I need to change to C, which is one of these and one of the yellow. I'm just going to pick up a strand of the new colour and the existing strand of pink, go around my hook and off I'll go. So just wanted to talk to you about colour changing when it comes to the end of the fluffy rows, because there's no need to cut. Basically all the time I'm thinking about how I can get out of sewing in ends. If you want to cut both of them, it's absolutely fine, of course it is, but I'm just saying if you feel comfortable just cutting one, then that saves you an end to sew in. So that's really my last tip for the bulk of the cowl. So let's just do a quick recap. We have learned Tunisian simple stitch and we have learned Tunisian double front post, and we know that rows 4 and 5 make up the repeat going all the way through the cowl, which makes us sort of have this alternating fancy stitch which will work up through our cowl and give us the lovely sort of bobbly vertical line effect. Okay, so you've got, I don't know how many you've got, 24 rows working like this before we do anything new, and the new thing is going to be binding off. So you're absolutely good to go now for the whole of your project, and all that is left to show you is binding off, and I'll show you that in the next video.